Once, in an ancient town surrounded by hills and quiet rivers, there lived a young man named Elias. He was well known among the townsfolk, not for wealth, nor for wisdom, but for his tireless dedication to work. Each morning, before the sun rose, Elias hurried through the streets, his eyes fixed forward, always in a rush. He wanted to achieve more, to earn more, to be respected. People admired his discipline, yet they often whispered, "He never smiles. He looks busy, but not happy." One summer evening, when the golden light of dusk painted the streets, Elias met an old gardener named Raphael. The old man had silver hair, hands roughened by years of tending plants, and eyes that seemed to hold the memory of many lives. Raphael stopped Elias and asked gently, "You work hard, young man, but tell me, do you care for the garden of your heart?" Elias frowned. "I don't have a garden," he replied. Raphael smiled softly. "You are mistaken. Everyone has a garden within. The only question is whether we care for it, or we let it wither." The words lingered in Elias's mind long after he walked away. That night, he dreamt of a vast garden inside himself. The soil was dry. Thorny weeds covered the ground, and birds circled above, but found nothing to eat. In the middle of that barren land, he saw a small seed in his hand. Unsure, he planted it in the cracked earth. When Elias awoke the next morning, his heart carried a strange warmth. He remembered the dream vividly. The following day, Raphael handed Elias a tiny seed. "Plant this," he said, "not in the ground, but in your life. Care for it with your choices." Elias did not fully understand, but he nodded. That day, while walking through the marketplace, he noticed an elderly man struggling with a heavy basket. For once, instead of rushing past, Elias stopped, smiled, and carried it for him. Later, he helped a little boy who had fallen on the dusty road, lifting him gently and brushing off the dirt. That night, Elias dreamed again. Where he had planted the seed, a small green sprout pushed through the soil. The air in the garden felt fresher, the earth softer. The next morning, Raphael explained, "Every act of kindness is like water for the seeds in your heart. The more you give, the more your garden grows." Weeks passed, and Elias began to notice the difference in himself. He felt lighter, calmer, as if the sprout in his dream was growing within his chest. Yet one day, he quarreled with his neighbor over a piece of land. Angry words were exchanged, and Elias carried resentment in his heart. That night, his dream changed. The once bright garden grew dark. Thick weeds spread quickly, choking the fragile sprout. The air became heavy, and Elias felt sorrow. Disturbed, he sought out Raphael. "My garden is dying," Elias confessed. The gardener nodded knowingly. "Weeds grow when you hold on to anger and grudges. If you want your garden to live, you must forgive." It was not easy, but Elias humbled himself and went to his neighbor. He offered peace and forgiveness. The neighbor, surprised, softened his heart, and they reconciled. That night, Elias dreamed once more. The weeds shrank, the sprout stretched taller, and the sun returned to the garden. Time flowed on. Elias began to slow his hurried steps. He started noticing things he had once ignored: the warmth of the morning sun, the laughter of children in the square, the gentle fragrance of blooming jasmine in the evening air. He began to whisper thank you to life itself for every simple blessing, and in his dreams, the garden blossomed. Bright flowers of every color opened their petals. Their fragrance filled the air with sweetness, and Elias felt joy just by walking among them. When he shared this with Raphael, the old gardener smiled. Gratitude is the sunlight of the heart. Without it, no garden can flourish. Years went by, and Elias transformed. The townsfolk noticed the change. The once rigid young man now had eyes that shone with kindness. People sought his company, for they felt peace near him. In his heart's garden, trees rose tall and bore fruits of compassion, honesty, and patience. He gave these fruits freely, listening to those in pain, comforting the lonely, sharing wisdom with the young. And the more he gave, the more abundant his garden became. Raphael told him, "This is the secret, Elias. The garden of your heart grows richer when you share its harvest. The more you give, the more life gives back to you." One evening, many years later, Elias walked with Raphael under a sky full of stars. He was no longer the restless young man he once had been, but a man whose presence brought calm. "Master," Elias said softly, "I finally understand. Happiness is not something to chase, like a shadow. It is something that grows when we care for it, moment by moment." Raphael nodded. "Yes, my son. The heart is a garden. Sow kindness, and love will bloom. Water it with gratitude, and joy will flourish. Remove the weeds of anger, and peace will reign. And never forget what you grow inside, you will harvest in life." Dear listener, remember this: each of us carries a garden within. Some neglect it, and it fills with weeds. Some water it with bitterness, and it withers. But those who choose kindness, forgiveness, and gratitude, they create a paradise in their hearts, one that shines into the world around them. So today, ask yourself, what seeds am I planting? What am I watering with my actions, my thoughts, my words? Your heart's garden is waiting. Care for it with love, and in return, it will gift you peace, joy, and a life full of meaning.